Hello, a warm good afternoon to everyone. I see a lot of people are joining in, so we'll just take few minutes to let others join in, and then we'll start with our session. For the ones who don't know, our theme for today is yoga and nutrition. So what I'm going to basically do is get on board Amrita here, who has been practicing yoga for years now, and I'm going to ask her certain questions so that you get an idea about what is yoga, how is it done, who can do it, what are the various types. So we are going to cover up all those questions. So let me quickly add in Amrita here, so she'll be answering all your queries. All of you all are doing fine, and you all are taking care of yourself, eating right and exercising. Do drop in your questions related to yoga. And oh, hi Amrita, how are
Hi.
you?
Hi, Auntie. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
And how is your little one?
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine.
Great. So, like I already spoke to you, today our topic is going to be yoga. The whole aim of this conversation is to let people understand actually what is yoga, what are the different types, and I hope you'll help them out with their questions. But before we start
Sure,
with the
sure.
questions, why don't
Yes.
you tell us your journey and why did you choose to take up yoga?
I chose to take up yoga for stress management, anxiety management, and I had a lot of health issues that needed to be resolved. And like we all know that allopathic medicines have a lot of side effects, which were not very. I mean, it was not going down well with me, and I was getting more and more sick. So to improve my health, I started yoga. I've
Oh,
started in 2012 and I've been practicing almost every day since then.
wow. So even for me, I'm trained in karate, if you know. I think
Yes,
you also have done it, right? And
yes,
I had a major injury with karate, and nothing was working with me. And somehow somebody just suggested try yoga, and I was like, let's go try it. Luckily, my physio was like, go for yoga. You'll get your solution there. And the moment I started
right,
with
right,
yoga, it helped me out tremendously. Even today, when there is aches and pain because of the injury, it's yoga that helps me out. So
great,
I'm
great.
going to quickly go to the questions that have come in.
Yes, yes,
Can you just tell us about the different types of yoga that are there? I mean, a lot of people
right, right.
ask there is which type, what do I do, what do I take up?
So what I feel is that when you look at yoga, it needs to be a more holistic approach. Like these days, a lot of us want to do yoga because we want to lose weight or we want to reduce our acne. So I think it's not just that; it's a more holistic thing. Like it helps you calm down mentally. It treats your mental health and it also helps you physically. So
Correct.
just looking at weight loss is just one aspect of it. So there are around 30 different forms of yoga which are being practiced around the globe. But actually, like if you look at it, only six of them are common. The first one is
Correct.
Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga, I'm a certified Hatha Yoga teacher. I have a diploma in teaching Hatha Yoga to adults. So, as a part of Hatha Yoga, it's mostly taught in gyms and the yoga classes that we have in our areas in Mumbai or wherever you live, like the yoga classes that you go to normally or in the gym. Most of that is a part of Hatha Yoga. It's a more slow form. It focuses on breathing, it focuses on meditation, on asanas, right? So if you're a first timer and like, okay, now I want to practice yoga, what do is you go in for a Hatha Yoga practice. Now
Correct.
the second one is Vinyasa Yoga. So Vinyasa Yoga is a little more advanced, though the foundation is Hatha Yoga. Vinyasa is a more dynamic form and it is more high intensity. So like there will be music that is playing and there will be a sequence of postures which are linked dynamically. So there's no break in between the two asanas. So it's like a seamless movement from one asana to the other.
Okay.
Then you also have Kundalini Yoga. So Kundalini Yoga is a spiritual approach to yoga. So
Right.
it a lot of it is based in meditation, and the poses are quite easy. But most of the poses are like meditative in nature. It helps you calm down, inner peace, and it works on how the energy flows through your spine. So that's Kundalini Yoga. And then we have Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga is yoga for the warrior. So like you say,
Okay.
yoga for the warrior, it's a tougher form, no doubt. And it makes you more flexible, and it gives your body endurance. It is very demanding, and it helps to increase your self-control over your body and your mind. Then we have Iyengar Yoga, which was founded by BKS Iyengar, and it helps to the foundation of Iyengar Yoga is like its basis is in spine alignment. Like how do you align your spine? So Iyengar Yoga focuses on how to improve your posture. So it says that if you improve your posture, your health will improve, and such,
Right.
and that's the basic thing. And it uses balls, it uses blocks, elastic, it focuses on just toning your body. So Iyengar yoga is ideal for those people who are elderly. Like if you have someone above the age of 50 or 60 who is looking to improve their health, so this is ideal for them. Iyengar yoga is good for them. Then you have Bikram yoga. So I've also tried Bikram yoga, but it did not suit me because it's done when the room is at around 40 degrees Celsius. So they
Right.
heat up the room and then you do yoga. Again, it's for weight loss. You can burn up to like 600 calories per session on during a 1 hour session. But again, it's my personal experience is that it is very it was a very hard form and it made me sweat a lot. So I did not enjoy it, but a lot of people enjoy it and a lot of people do it. They wear bathing suits and they go for the yoga class, and there's a lot of motivation in an Bikram yoga class. So again, the principle of Bikram yoga is they what they say is that you sweat out the toxins from your organs because of the heat. So I just
Okay.
covered six commonly done forms of yoga.
Oh, as a layman, they seem all like Greek and Latin to me. So, to make it very
Okay,
simple, if a layman does want to join in yoga, what is the
right.
one thing or two things that you would, recommend them while they have to choose whatever form of yoga they want
Right.
to take? Of course,
So
you
what
have,
I'll say, like
like,
if you're a okay, so if you're a
so like
newbie
you
and
already
you want
pointed out.
right,
I'm sorry, we are just interrupting each other. But like you given us pointers, like Kundalini is for spiritual, the IBS Iyengar is mainly it's for the elderly. But still, as a person who is from the working class who wants to join yoga, what is a few pointers that you would give? That's what I'm
right. So
looking at.
what I'd say is that let's say you're a beginner and you want to do yoga. So the easiest thing I think should be that for the first three to 6 months you should train under a yoga expert, which means that you need to have a yoga teacher. So you could go to a yoga class in your area. I would say avoid doing yoga in the gym because most of the yoga that is done in the gym is just basically focusing on weight loss and calories and all that. So if you want to be a want to practice holistic yoga, it would be good if you could join a yoga class where only yoga happens. So such trainers usually have more information and they're better equipped to teach you the various poses. And another pointer that I'd like to give beginners is that
I think we are having some connection issues here.
meditation, on pranayam. So it needs to be, again, it needs to be a holistic approach. So if you find a yoga center where they teach you pranayam techniques, where they teach you how to meditate and how to do the various asanas, so I think that's a good way that you can get into it if you're a beginner.
Okay. Secondly, in this, do you recommend as for a layperson to, check the authenticity of whatever classes? Do we like look out for certifications that the trainer has done or something that is Like for a doctor, you have the registration number. Is there
Yes,
some
yes, yes.
certification that we have to be looking at?
So obviously, like if you go to a gym, like I said again, anybody teaches yoga there, right? So it's more commercial. So if you could go to a yoga class where the teacher is certified, probably if you're in Bombay, the Yoga Institute from Santa Cruz has fantastic courses for teachers. So if someone is from the Yoga Institute and has done a teacher's training course from there, and that's preferable. Obviously, they have a lot of information and they are better informed to teach you the best ways to do your postures and asanas. And another thing you could do is you could probably go on Google and check the reviews and the feedback of that yoga class. I think that's something that all of us could do. Just check what are the ratings of that class, and yeah, that's about it.
Also, to add on to this, if you have any medical issues, it is more important that you visit a
Right, yes,
qualified professional. It becomes very,
agreed.
very
Yes.
crucial because I have seen many cases where people just randomly join the yoga class, घर के बाजू में है, join कर लिया, and then they land up
Right,
in injuries. So you have
right.
to take care of those things. Now,
Yes.
coming to the
So
stream of
especially if you're
questions, yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
tell me.
especially if you're pregnant or you are trying to conceive, a lot of yoga poses could cause more harm than benefit. So, like, there are certain poses if you're pregnant and you don't know you're pregnant, it could cause a miscarriage. So, it's important that you go to a person who knows his stuff and then can guide you accordingly. Right.
Yes. So I've got a stream of questions for you. And Ritu here asked is, do you recommend certain poses or can we do yoga while you have your periods going on or the menstrual
You
cycle that
see,
is happening?
Okay, so this is a very commonly asked question, frequently asked question. So what I'd recommend is that you can do some really basic form of yoga, but you need to avoid inverted positions like Sarvangasana or the Shirsasana or the downward dog pose, something that really stresses out your body or if your heart is above your head, that is when your legs are above your head. Such positions need to be avoided. Basically, inversions and also some form of pranayam is not recommended when you are having your menstruation cycle, like Kapalbhati or Bahya pranayam, Agnisar. So these things are not recommended. You could just stick to basic asanas, which will not really, harm your body. Again, menstruation is such a time where we are already quite cranky and irritated, right? So
Correct.
we don't want to harm or we don't want to tax your body a lot at that time. So I think going easy is a better strategy.
Okay. So the next question that's there, so he asks, if I am not flexible, can I still do yoga?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
So Jeffin asks, I am not flexible. Can I still do
Right.
yoga?
Okay, so I think flexibility is again secondary, and so when you start out, you may not be able to touch your toes with your hands and all that. So that should not make you disappointed. You need not lose heart because even I was not a very flexible person when I started out yoga. But gradually, when you do it every day, so the key is consistency. So a lot of us, we'll go to a yoga class and we pay the fees for 12 months, but we'll end up only going for 1.5 months. So it does not work out
Correct.
like that. You need to be consistent with any form of exercise, whether you're going to the gym or you're going for yoga. So when you do it consistently, you will get your results. You'll feel more flexible. Your body will feel more light, right? If you're looking out for weight loss, you may not lose weight, but you may lose a few inches. So yes, your flexibility is something that you can develop in the long run with consistency.
Perfect. So, like I had mentioned earlier, I joined yoga when I had an injury. So, I was very, very bad in the flexibility department. But then the moment I
Right.
joined, I had a lot of improvement. I was horribly frustrated initial 15 days. I didn't know what am I doing. I was not fitting into the class because everyone else was flexible. But then after a month,
Right.
I could do most of it very easily. So it takes
Right.
time and
It
consistency
takes
there.
time.
Just don't
Right.
get dejected when you can't do it in the first shot.
Yes.
I
So
have
again,
another
if you have
question
any
here.
injuries, if you have injuries,
Correct.
Aditi, the best form of yoga would be Iyengar yoga. So their postures and their asanas are suited for someone who's had injuries, and that it's more slow and it has more of a therapeutic effect.
Correct. So I'll go to the next question.
Sure, sure, sure.
So Rupesh asks, is yoga beneficial for asthmatic patients with chronic bronchitis?
Yes, certainly beneficial. Pranayam is amazing if you have asthma and if you have bronchitis. So I can personally vouch for it because I used to have a lot of allergies. So I have allergic rhinitis. So I'm allergic to dust. I'm allergic to some kind of pollen, and sometimes I'm allergic to pets. Right. So and I really love dogs. So being allergic to pets is was very debilitating for me. So I had to find a way where I could like sit in a room with my dog in it. So I turned to yoga, and again for asthma also it's very beneficial. You need to focus on pranayam. So you could do anulom vilom. It's also called nadi shodhan. So you could do anulom vilom for like 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and I'm telling you, certainly you will see an improvement within a week. And even if you're taking a lot of asthma medication, you have an asthma pump, and it basically decreases the quality of your life. So if you want to improve the quality of your life, you can start with pranayam. You can do kapalbhati pranayam, anulom vilom pranayam, bhramri, bhastrika, agnisar, bahya pranayam. So these six pranayams should be done on a daily basis. So again, consistency is the key. So some days you may not feel like doing the pranayam, but you need to have that fire in you, and there should be that drive that I need to get better. So I'm going to do it for like this amount of time every day. So what I do is I have rhinitis, and my doctor himself has suggested this to me that do pranayam every day and you will not need any medicines, and that has been correct to a great extent. So I'm not on any medication for my allergies right now. All I do is I do 1 hour of pranayam every day, and if when I say every day, I do it every day for 1 hour, and I've got like lots and lots of benefits. I can breathe easily. So I think, yeah, I'm really happy doing pranayam. And so if you have asthma, it should take
So
within 3 to 6 months for your asthma to resolve. And I'm telling you, if you do it for like 9 months, 9 months, you need to do it every day for 1 hour. You will be completely devoid of asthma.
So I'm going to second you on this because I have seasonal rhinitis that I
Allergy.
get every time the season changes, and allergies also like you. And for
Oh,
me, what worked is Jalniti with proper pranayam,
acha.
but
Right.
continuously doing it for 9 months, and that's when I started seeing the results. Today I don't have these
Right.
allergic reactions, but then the moment when the climate starts changing, I make sure that I start practicing it. So those are things that you have to take care of. I think we again have some little connection issues here. Looks like some network issues.
There's some kind of a network issue.
So
Yeah,
the next
it's
question that
back.
I have is related to PCOD. Could you suggest some
Okay.
asanas or some things that a client with a PCOD can do?
Okay, so again, PCOD is your cysts which are on your ovary, fluid-filled cysts. So because of PCOD, you develop hirsutism, which causes a lot of facial hair, and it's quite distressing to women to have facial hair, right? The embarrassment, which I don't think you need to be embarrassed about, but then that really happens. So PCOD, again, you can go the medication route and take medication, but once you stop those medicines, PCOD tends to bounce back. So the ideal way to manage PCOD is through yoga and pranayam. So again, I insist on doing pranayam every day. Kapalbhati pranayam is very good for PCOD. And a few asanas that I can recommend is Baddha Konasana, that is a butterfly pose. That's very good for your PCOD. So I myself have PCOD. I had PCOD, and I was told by a lot of doctors that I will not be able to conceive naturally. I may need IVF and all that. And a lot of scary things were told to me. But I just delivered a baby girl 8 months ago, and this is proof that PCOD will not be there with you throughout your life. So if you do a quick Google search on PCOD, it says that it is a chronic issue and it cannot be treated. So I beg to differ. I think it can be treated, but you need to be consistent. So another asana that is good for PCOD is Naukasana, that is boat pose. You can do Bhujangasana, Dhanurasana, Ushtrasana, Balasana, Padmasana, Setubandhasana, Paschimottanasana, Shalabhasana, and Malasan. And a few pranayams that you could do is Anulom Vilom, you could do Brahmari, and you could do Kapalbhati. Again, the key is consistency. So if you could do this every day, you will certainly get your periods on a regular basis. So I guess this should help you.
So to add on to this, the only thing I have realized is in my practice is you need to first identify what are the symptoms you're dealing with when it comes to PCOD. And according to the type and the complications in PCOD, then you can approach and use whatever these asanas that she has mentioned. Because for some people, some would suit, for the others would be beneficial. But like she mentioned, pranayam is the key. Breathing is utmost important. Don't take it for granted. It will help you a long way. So Rupesh has said, thanks Amrita for
You're welcome.
clarifying
You're
my
welcome.
doubts. And he adds
You're
that
welcome.
I'm super allergic to weather, dust, and climate change, I think, and pets. Asthma, he uses a pump and he has terrible time breathing. He's definitely going to start yoga soon. So, Rupesh, you need to remember you need to learn yoga under qualified professional. Make sure you check their credential before you join somebody. Coming to the next question, Pallavi asks, could you elaborate on which pranayams that we can do?
Okay, so I'd suggest 7 pranayams that can be done on a daily basis if you have the time. And if you're a busy person, you have your work and you have children to look out, care for, and you have to cook and clean and like the everyday chores. So there are these 2 pranayams that I would recommend that you do every day. So the entire 7 pranayam is you should do Anulom Vilom, Kapalbhati, Bahya Pranayam, Agnisar, Brahmari, Udgit. So these are the things that you can do on an everyday basis. But in case you're like short of time and you don't have a lot of time on hand, you could just do Kapalbhati and Anulom Vilom and just Bhastrika, that is deep breathing. These 3 pranayams can be done.
Yes. So thank you for that. Also, there was a question which I found interesting. I'm not sure if there is a solution in yoga for that. Somebody asked,
Okay.
I have bloating. What are the asanas that one can do when you have bloating?
Okay, so I myself used to have a lot of bloating a few years ago. So, firstly, I think as a nutritionist, Aditi will be able to help you better to eat in the right way so that you don't have bloating. So, you can avoid, like gassy stuff like chana and rajma and eating a lot of chicken. So, if you eat sensibly itself and drink a lot of water, you will not have bloating. But other than that, if you want to reduce bloating, you can do inverted poses like Sarvangasana. You could do the downward dog pose. You could do Viprit Karni, that is legs up the wall pose. So whenever I feel bloated, I just throw my legs up the wall and I stay there for like 10 minutes. So it helps me a lot.
So to add on to this, when you have bloating, the first thing that you have to do is identify the cause of your bloating. Is it
Right.
like, once in a blue moon phenomenon? Is it happening regularly? Is it because of gastric issues? Is it something in the food that's not suiting you? You have to identify the root cause. Once you identify the root cause, dealing with it is always easier and simple. So after that, you can definitely, after correcting all that, go in for the yoga asana. Those are going to be complementary to this, and they work side by side. You just can't avoid one thing and look at the other.
Right,
So
right,
that's
right.
going to be my add-on. I am looking if there are any more questions here.
Yeah, sure.
So till then, I mean, how long does one practice yoga? I mean, is there a duration? Like for gym, normally it's like 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Do you all have a duration for, practicing yoga? Is there a good
Right.
time in a day when you can practice yoga?
So ideally, the Brahma Muhurt, that is from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the best time to practice yoga. We know, like I guess all of us know that. But since at least I am not able to wake up that early in the morning, and that is something that I need to work on. So ideally, doing it early in the morning between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. is a very good thing. But if you cannot do that, you can do it on an empty stomach whenever it's possible. So if you want to do your asanas, you should have 3 to 4 hours of empty stomach to do your asanas. And for pranayam also the same thing, 3 to 4 hours of having an empty stomach, you can perform pranayam. So anytime during the day
Cool.
you can do this. So I do it for like 1 hour I do pranayam and half an hour I do my yoga, since that's what works for me. So each of us need to find our own sweet spot, what works for you.
Yeah. So for me, I do more of breathing, the pranayam more, and few of the asanas, because breathing plays a crucial role for me in my condition. And I've got two more questions here, at least one more
Sure.
here. So Pallavi again is asking, is it recommended to do Kapalbhati if one is in periods and uses menstrual cup?
No. No, you should
Yes, that's
completely avoid Kapalbhati when you're on your periods, because Kapalbhati places loads on those organs which are involved by those organs contribute during your menstruation, so it could do more damage than any benefit.
correct. So that's one thing you have to note. Somebody mentions here there is a asan called as Ashtapadmasan. That's
That's
true.
my brother. You can just ignore him. I'll get in touch with him and I'll clear his query. You know how brothers are, right?
Oh, I agree. My brother is not here today to, hijack the conversation and drop in his comments. Otherwise, he usually
Yeah.
comes in between. I think they pep up the live sessions much more. So
Yes,
it's
it do.
okay. So, I always tell my clients that we take breathing for granted. And
Yes, yes,
there's
yes.
one thing that I've learned when I started with yoga is breathing is the most crucial thing. And
Right, right,
if so, how when you said there are different types of yoga and there are
right,
different
right.
types, that does the breathing techniques also differ or the principles remain the same?
The principles certainly they remain the same, but it is more like just a minute. I'll start to- Yeah, the principles remain the same. They focus on asanas and breathing while you do those asanas. So, like you have Kundalini yoga, which is more meditative, and they have
Correct.
a strong focus on breathing and raising the Kundalini from the bottom of your spine. So, Kundalini is this kind of energy that rests within your spine. So, from a person who is a beginner, usually has their energy located at the bottom part of their spine. So the motive of this type of yoga is to raise it upwards. So they focus on a lot of breathing and meditation to get
Yeah,
to rise to allow your kundalini to come up.
I have tried the Kundalini yoga and it was a magnificent experience. I mean,
Oh,
that's one
great.
thing that I don't think I can forget because it was so mind blowing. It was a learning experience. You have to
Okay.
look more inward, and then you go on.
Yes, yes.
It's a journey. It's an experience that you have
Right.
to take. It's more
Yes.
about mental health, as per me.
Right, exactly.
So that's about it. Also, talking about yoga, uh, is yoga recommended all 7 days to be done, or there are
Uh,
restrictions?
so
Yes, so these are the
ideally you
questions
could
that
do
keep
it.
coming.
Okay, so ideally you could do it for 6 days a week, and one day you can just, give your body some rest. All work and no play. I mean, that's not fun. So 6 days a week you could do it, and one day you can take a break. Even if you are able to do yoga twice a week, I think that's also not bad. It will give you the benefits. May not give you as much of benefit, but minimum is twice a week. Maximum you can
Okay.
go up to 6 times a week.
Okay. Also, another question that's come in is for anyone with spinal injuries or, bone related issues, would yoga
Right.
be beneficial?
Yes, it's very beneficial for your spine related issues. So there are certain asanas which focus just on your spine, like the camel pose, that is Ushtrasana. There is Bhujangasana that works on your spine. It helps relieve backache. Then there is Setu Bandhasana, that is the bridge pose that again works on your spinal cord. So recently I just saw a YouTube video which says that we've heard of paralysis, right? So paralysis is
Correct.
a neurological problem. So with allopathy, there is no allopathic cure for paralysis. So even doctors at top neurologists and neurosurgeons, they recommend yoga and pranayam as a way to deal with paralysis, since there is no long term solution or cure for paralysis. So what I'd suggest is doing a lot of pranayam again. So Anulom Vilom pranayam, that is the alternate breathing exercise that works a lot. So what it does is Anulom Vilom basically works on your neurological system. It works on your spine and it works on your brain. So if you are a chronic patient, or if you are suffering from this like really bad and you want some relief, daily if you practice this for 1 hour or 1.5 hour, so initially you may not be able to go up to 1 hour or 1.5 hours. You can start with 5 minutes, then go up to 15 minutes, and make it half an hour, 45 minutes, and gradually work your way up to 1 hour. And this 1 hour practice of Anulom Vilom every day, you will start seeing benefits within 7 days. And I assure you that you will start seeing benefits within 7 days for most neurological problems.
So even if it's someone who does not have these conditions, I think they can always start with the breathing
Certainly,
exercises.
certainly, certainly, certainly.
And Anulom Vilom being the most simplest of all, you can just start with
Yes,
focusing on that, I guess, and then look up
yes,
to,
yes.
doing further things. But
Further things.
like she mentioned, first learn it under a trained professional and only then start experimenting because people just today watch YouTube, this, that. There are a lot of
Right.
nitty-gritties while practicing yoga, so you need to take care of those aspects and you need to learn under a professional. That's what is the takeaway, I think, from today's session here. I don't see any questions coming. Do you want to give us some tips, some suggestions? You want to share something related to yoga?
Yeah, so what I'd like to tell you is now this lockdown period due to coronavirus. So again, if you want to battle and keep coronavirus at bay, and even if you get infected, if your lungs are strong, you can beat the virus and you can come out. You can come out alive, right? So what you could do is, again, my focus is on pranayam, right? You build the strength of your lungs so that your lungs are strong, and coronavirus obviously hits your lung capacity, and slowly and gradually a lot of people don't make it. So if you want to keep coronavirus at bay, and even if you get infected, if you want to deal with it in a better way and come out healthy, yoga and pranayam is recommended. So even during the lockdown, let's not just eat and chill around at home. If you can do even a little bit of yoga poses at home, even just take out 5 or 15 minutes. It's not necessary you need to have a 1.5 hour or 2 hour practice. Even just 5 to 15 minute practice here and there will be great. Just practice Anulom Vilom and Kapalbhati and Vastrika. So these three pranayams, if you do on a regular basis, it will help you keep coronavirus at bay, and it can improve your immunity to a great extent.
Well, thank you so much for such an informative session. We'll soon hope to see you doing some live sessions with us, showing us some asanas.
Okay, sure. Sure.
So for today, thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you,
guys,
Aditi, for
Amrita,
having me on board. It's made me lively during the lockdown session. Honestly speaking, I was feeling a little sad and bored being indoors for a long time, and I think this session has really cheered me up. So thank you so much, Aditi.
you're welcome. Rupesh adds a point here. He says, yes, lung capacity needs to be improved. Hence, I'm rethinking of yoga sessions. You definitely
Great. I'm
need to
happy if
join
I
it.
could have inspired or motivated someone to start
There you
their
got
practice
one more
again.
positive. So again, what I was trying to say is Amrita is on Instagram in case you have any doubts. If you are confused about who to go, where to join, or you want to learn from her, just connect with her on her Instagram and she'll guide you from there.
Sure, sure. Always ready to help you. Yeah?
Yeah. See
Yeah.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you so
guys.
much,
And
Aditi.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you. Thanks.